Good evening, everyone. Today I want to talk to you about the milestone of reaching the age of 30, not as just a number or a symbol, but as a chapter in your life that carries weight and meaning. Turning 30 is often seen as a significant milestone in life, but it's important to understand that age is not just a number, it's a marker of the experiences, lessons, and self-awareness cultivated over the years. By the time you reach 30, you should be ready to look at yourself with a clearer lens, reflecting on who you are, what you've been through, and where you're heading. Your 20s are a time of exploration and discovery. It's a decade filled with trial and error, dreams and doubts, victories and disappointments. Those years are about finding your place in the world, navigating challenges, and learning about yourself through each step forward and every setback. Yet when you reach 30, something shifts. That once chaotic and uncertain journey begins to weave itself into a clearer narrative. By then, you start to understand that life is not solely about accumulation, be it experiences, accolades, or possessions, but about applying the lessons you've gathered and growing into a more authentic version of yourself. Maturity at 30 is not about having all the answers, it's about understanding the questions that matter. It means recognizing that self-awareness isn't a destination you reach, but a constant practice. You learn that it's more important to ask, who am I becoming, than what am I achieving? This is the age where you start to realize that growth is not linear. There are highs and lows, moments of rapid progress, and times when you stand still, but each phase has its purpose. By 30, you should be able to reflect on your 20s with appreciation rather than regret. The mistakes you made, the opportunities you missed, and the failures you endured were not just roadblocks, they were lessons that taught you resilience, patience, and the art of moving forward even when the road wasn't clear. This stage of life marks a shift from reacting to circumstances to responding with purpose. You begin to develop an inner voice that knows when to push harder, when to let go, and when to simply pause and breathe. At this age, you also start to see the value of self-compassion. In your 20s, it's easy to get caught up in the race for success and external validation. But with time, you understand that maturity isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about being honest enough to acknowledge your shortcomings, but wise enough not to let them define you. You learn that true self-awareness is more than just knowing your strengths, it's embracing your weaknesses too, and finding the courage to grow from them. Age 30 is an acknowledgement of how far you've come and a promise of how much further you can go. It's the age when you start carrying forward the lessons of your past with a sense of gratitude and the understanding that each one has shaped who you are. It's about realizing that the journey isn't solely about reaching the next milestone, but embracing every step along the way, knowing that growth is ongoing and self-awareness is the compass that guides. By the age of 30, there comes an expectation, both from oneself and from society, that you should be ready to own every choice you make. This readiness stems from years of experience, trial and error, and the lessons those experiences have imparted. Owning your decisions isn't simply about acknowledging the good ones, it's about standing firm in your choices, even when the outcomes are less than favorable. It's about understanding that responsibility is no longer something external imposed upon you, but an internal compass that naturally guides your actions and choices. In your 20s, the world is often viewed as a playground of endless possibilities, where risks are taken freely and sometimes with little thought to the consequences. While this is an essential part of growing, those years are also marked by moments of avoidance, times when it's easier to attribute setbacks to bad luck, circumstances, or other people's actions. But by 30, there should be a noticeable shift. This shift is about embracing a new level of accountability that says, this is my life and these are my choices. It's the understanding that your actions have weight, and so do the moments you choose to stand by them. Taking ownership of your decisions by 30 means accepting that life isn't perfect and neither are you. Mistakes are inevitable, but the real test of maturity is how you respond when those mistakes happen. It's no longer enough to point fingers or make excuses. Instead, you develop the resilience to confront the consequences of your actions head on, learning from them and using them as stepping stones toward better decisions in the future. This level of responsibility means owning your successes without arrogance and acknowledging your failures without shame. It's about finding balance and seeing each experience as a part of the broader journey of becoming. Responsibility becomes second nature as you begin to realize that your choices not only shape your life but also impact those around you. The way you handle your career, relationships, and personal goals reflects this understanding. By the time you're 30, you come to see that decisions made impulsively or without forethought may no longer serve you or your ambitions. You learn to pause and consider, not out of fear of making the wrong move, but out of respect for the life you are building and the people who are part of it. This accountability leads you to a greater sense of purpose. You start making choices that align with your values, priorities, and long-term goals. It becomes clearer that your path is yours to walk, and each step, each decision is a declaration of the life you're choosing to create. Responsibility isn't a weight holding you down, it's a foundation that holds you steady. By 30, you understand that owning your decisions isn't just about maturity, it's a vital element of growth that empowers you to live with intention, authenticity, and courage. By the time you reach 30, life should have already shown you that failure is an inevitable companion on the road to growth. It's not a sign of weakness or inadequacy, but a universal experience that everyone encounters in their pursuit of fulfillment. The key to navigating your 30s and beyond lies in how you choose to perceive and respond to failure. At this stage, you should be seasoned enough to recognize that failure is not a stopping point. It's a stepping stone, a necessary part of the journey that can propel you forward with more resilience, wisdom, and perspective than before. Throughout your 20s, failures might have felt heavy, intimidating, and final. Whether it was a job opportunity that slipped through your fingers, a project that fell short of expectations, or personal setbacks in relationships, each stumble may have seemed like an end. But by 30, you start to see failure for what it truly is, a teacher. It's in those moments of falling short where some of life's most valuable lessons are tucked away, waiting to be understood. The setbacks begin to lose their power to derail you as you learn to extract the insights they offer and apply them to your next steps. Turning setbacks into setups for success means shifting your mindset from one of defeat to one of determination. By 30, you should have experienced enough of life's twists and turns to know that setbacks often pave the way for new opportunities. The job you didn't get might have been the redirection you needed to find your true calling. The project that failed may have equipped you with new skills and a deeper understanding that will prove invaluable down the line. With each setback, you develop the skill of reframing your failures not as indications that you are unworthy, but as indicators of where you can grow stronger and more capable. This mindset is not just about optimism, it's about resilience. Resilience is built through the repeated process of facing difficulty, absorbing the lessons, and moving forward stronger. By the time you reach 30, you should have the awareness to look back at your past failures and recognize how they have shaped you. They've toughened your spirit, refined your approach, and given you a clearer sense of what you're truly capable of when tested. This approach to failure also cultivates patience and adaptability. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned, and by 30, you learn that being able to pivot, adjust, and continue despite disappointments is an invaluable skill. It becomes easier to step out of your comfort zone because you know that even if you stumble, you won't be starting from scratch, you'll be starting from experience. Ultimately, embracing failures as stepping stones is about understanding that success is not defined by a single triumph, but by a series of attempts, lessons, and recoveries. By 30, you come to realize that each setback is not an end, but a setup for a new beginning, one that you approach with deeper insight, fortified determination, and the unshakable belief that every failure has prepared you for the success that lies ahead. By the age of 30, life begins to shift its focus from individual aspirations to a broader purpose. It's a time when the pursuit of personal gains transforms into the desire to make a meaningful impact. This shift marks the beginning of building a legacy, something that goes beyond your achievements and resonates with others long after you're gone. A legacy isn't defined by fame or fortune, it's about the positive imprint you leave on those around you, shaping the world in ways that reflect your values and intentions. The first step in building a legacy is understanding that life is bigger than personal success. In your 20s, the drive for personal milestones, career advancements, financial stability, or personal growth is strong, and rightly so. It's a decade for laying the foundation of who you are and what you want. But by 30, there is a shift from focusing solely on self-driven goals to considering how your actions affect others. You begin to ask questions like, how am I contributing to the well-being of those around me? And what do I want to be remembered for? Creating a legacy with intent means living purposefully, aligning your actions with your values, and using your skills and resources to contribute positively to your community, profession, or even your close circle of family and friends. It doesn't require grand gestures. It's often the accumulation of small, consistent acts of kindness, mentorship, and leadership that leave the greatest mark. It's about being the person who uplifts, who shares knowledge without hesitation, and who inspires others to dream and act. By 30, your experiences have equipped you with enough insight to understand that life isn't just about what you get, but what you give. The moments where you invest in someone else's growth or contribute to a cause greater than yourself become the pillars of your legacy. It could be mentoring a young professional, being a source of encouragement for friends, or dedicating time to causes that reflect your passions and beliefs. These acts build a legacy rooted in impact and compassion. Living with the intention to build a legacy also means taking responsibility for the way you lead your life. It's understanding that your values are not just spoken, but demonstrated. Whether it's through your work ethic, how you treat others, or how you handle challenges, each choice speaks to the legacy you're crafting. By this stage, you realize that true fulfillment comes not just from accolades, but from the knowledge that you've influenced lives positively, even if just in small ways. As you grow into this understanding, your perspective shifts from short-term wins to long-term influence. Building a legacy requires consistency and a willingness to prioritize meaningful contributions over fleeting successes. It's the understanding that the most profound impacts often happen quietly but endure for generations. By 30, you should be ready to turn your aspirations outward, fostering connections, inspiring change, and laying the groundwork for a life that echoes in the lives of others long after your own chapter is closed. This is the essence of building a legacy with intent, creating a ripple effect of positivity that outlasts your time. In conclusion, turning 30 is not just a chronological milestone, it's a moment of profound transformation and reflection. It's an age that calls for embracing the lessons of your 20s and using them to build a life defined by maturity, accountability, resilience, and a sense of purpose beyond oneself. By this point, you should be prepared to own your decisions, accepting responsibility as a natural guide toward accountability and intention. You should see failures not as stumbling blocks, but as stepping stones, understanding that each setback has prepared you for greater successes. Reaching 30 is also a reminder that life is bigger than individual achievements. It's an invitation to shift focus from personal gains to building a legacy rooted in kindness, mentorship, and meaningful contributions that leave a lasting impact. It's about being old enough to understand that true growth comes from a combination of self-awareness, strength in the face of adversity, and the ability to uplift others. This is the age where you transition from simply living to creating a life that inspires, influences, and endures. As you move forward, remember that growth doesn't end here. The journey continues, and the lessons you carry will guide you toward an even deeper understanding of yourself and your purpose. Live intentionally, own your path, and build a legacy that echoes far beyond your years. Let age 30 not just be a reminder of years gone by, but of the strength, lessons, and aspirations yet to come. Because by then you are old enough to know this truth: life is not measured by the breaths you take, but by the moments you give breath to someone else's hope. Thank you